All right, everybody, welcome back to Top Comics Pressing. We're going to have a really brief interlude from our normal case studies here. This is a copy of Uncanny X-Men 266. I've worked on plenty of these books. I've posted bumpskis on them. You know, I had a couple of them. This is the demo issue for Comic Clean. In general, this one looks like it's pretty good shape. It's got some defects and some crunch up there. But the thing that makes this one noteworthy is it is a Mark Jewler's insert copy. And as we know, Mark Jewler's inserts, particularly from the late 1980s and early 1990s, tend to be highly prized by collectors because they're all newsstands, and really from, the late 80s, early 90s, the newsstands were actually less common than the direct variants. And additionally, the Mark Jewelers are a narrow subset of those newsstands. And so finding Mark Jewelers in that era tend to, reap a special heart and collector's space in collections. And typically they demand a little bit more money in the fair market. From the standpoint of pressing these, the book is a little bit thicker because of that insert. And I've seen a couple of these come back or reported on Facebook or by other people as being returned by CGC as not being encapsulatable. And it's because the presser glued them shut. And so that's obviously taboo. And so what I want to show people is how to press one of these Mark Jewelers that specifically have these glue strips in here. Now, I fast forwarded through this part. I already did a light dry clean on this copy and gave it a light tacking iron on some of the corners and things like that. And so this one is already primed for its press. And the thing that we want to consider here with the Mark Jewelers is those two glue strips. And you can see those. So there's nothing on the outside here of the Mark Jewelers, and there's nothing on this page of the Mark Jewelers, but then there is that glue strip right here, and that's the matte line that you kind of see. So you can see where it's glossy, and then there's this tear on the front, and you can kind of see where the gloss ends right there, and you can kind of see it out there. So that's a little bit of envelope glue that's in these. And then back here, there's nothing again. So these were meant to be folded over and sent in. And it's this glue that causes a problem when pressing it. So what we're going to do for this, and I'll hopefully get my head camera on here, and forgive me if any of that video is terrible because it's hard to have the camera on my head and do my thing. But what we're going to do is give it our normal humidification. I'm going to put this face down in the humidity tank so that most of that humidity, again, is going to be on the exterior cover, and that's just how I did the Amazing Spider-Man 300 in the other video. So if I remember, I'll drop a link to that. If not, just search ASM 300 or Pressing a Modern Book in the channel videos, and you'll get that video. So we're going to give it a humidification of about 4 minutes. We're going to use the same general stack we normally do, which is a magazine backer board in the middle, cardstock under in the front and the back cover. We're going to use the same kind of normal press setup that I have before. But in this particular case, what we're going to do is actually add 2 sheets of SRP paper on either side of that centerfold backer board. And we're going to want to make sure we get that SRP paper to have the shiny side against the glue, and that way if it does stick a little bit to the SRP paper, it's only to the SRP paper, which should in principle release. And then we're not going to glue it shut, and that'll keep us from having any problems when this thing goes to CGC. So I've done a bunch of those, and they've all turned out pretty well, including, New Mutants 98. I've done ASM 316. So we've done a whole bunch of them all the same way. So I'm going to put this in the humidity tank, and we'll take a peek at it there. All right, here we are, folks. And again, sorry if the videography on these is a little rough. It's kind of weird to have the GoPro on my head. Here's our copy of Uncanny 266 with that Mark Jewler insert. So we're just going to go ahead and put this in the humidity tank, just like how I normally do. I'm going to invert it. This is a cool widget I picked up recently. Somebody posted this file on Thingiverse, and it's just a 3D printed spine support. So I've been using that more recently. We're just going to set it in there. Turn on my aerosolizer. So again, this isn't a steamer. It nebulizes and aerosolizes water that's in there. So it's for aromatherapy vapor diffuser. We're going to shut that, and we're going to give that about 4 minutes, and then we'll come on back and take a peek. All right, here we are after time. So we'll just reach down here and open up our Uncanny X-Men. I'm going to turn this off. So make sure we have that. I always try to point in so I can support, mid-spine. I'm going to keep my finger there and open it on up. The first thing I'm going to do here is take and I have all these supplies laid out just so I don't mix anything up, but the first thing I'm going to do here is take my magazine backer board, and what I like to do is just, again, push on that staple ever so gently at the top and the bottom, just to give it a little bit of a push. And now we're going to drop in our extra SRP paper. So that's what this is. And we've got our matte side and our shiny side. So you can see there the difference there. Put that on in. There we go. And I like to roll these over so that it's always supported underneath, and I've always got my fingers there. So we'll slide this one in on that side, just like that. There we go. This is my 65-pound cardstock, so we're just going to slide that gently on in there under the cover. Flip it on over. Again, slide it right directly in on the cover like so. Close it on up, and now we've got our book all ready to squish. And I like to slide my hands to the bottom corners and support as I put it in on the press down there, and that way there's no risk of getting that underneath. Now, usually the SRP paper sticks out a little bit underneath, but because I've got that other SRP paper, it's hard to see. So I'm going to peel that up and make sure I've got it all right where I want it. Here's the SRP paper that goes under the comic, or on the comic, right in there how I want it to go. I've got my 2 treasury backer boards here. Just cover that all on up like so. Nice and flat. Got my aluminum sheet. Again, it doesn't matter if you use steel or aluminum. Consulted with plenty of engineers, and as long as your surface area is big, it does not matter. Where's the handle here? Okay, shut that. Give it a little bit of a click here, and I've got this thing preheating up to 155 degrees. And so we're gonna give this 15 minutes, then I'll come by and kill the switch, and then I'm gonna let it sit for at least 12 hours, and then we'll see what it looks like when we pop it. So, all right, here we are, folks, with our press. So it's been about 14 or 15 hours, so we can go ahead and open this up. And again, I like to keep my stacking materials in roughly the same order I put them in. And so I kind of make a pile for those over here. But we should pull off the two outer backer boards. So you can go there. This is going to be the outer SRP paper. And there it is. So there's our Uncanny X-Men. I'm going to just pick that on up. We got all the material in there to support it. We'll put it on here. Gently slide those out, and then hopefully everything at centerfold here will just pop out. So that's our SRP backer board, and then the last sheet of SRP paper. And importantly, you can see here that we have not glued that shut, which is the important thing with these Mark Jewler inserts. I'm going to slide that down and just give it a gentle smooth over. And we should be able to see in the glare there how smooth that looks. There were some color breaking creases on this one, so it's not going to make a 9/8. But it does sparkle by comparison, and so that's really what we're looking for. And then I've got my Gerber fullback Mylight right here. So I just put that on there, and again, we don't want to slide the book on the backer board more than we have to, so get it primed up, gently slide it on in there, and then flip it on over for some tape. And so this is how I do the Mark Jewler's inserts. Now this one, the owner said they are going to keep raw. I don't know if that's the fault of the CGC controversy about the Mark Jewler's and they want to be able to show people that it actually does have a Mark Jewler's or not. But unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get a CGC grade on that one. One final note on the humidity tank. So anything that has humidity always has a risk of microbe buildup on the inside. And so when I'm done with it, I leave it open to the air. That does mean it will get dust in it. So you do have to clean the dust out of it regularly. But as the humidity exchanges with the air, it keeps it at ambient humidity after a few minutes when you're done with it, which is important to make sure you don't have any microbe or mold growth in there. You don't want it to stay super humid. But that's going to be it for this one. Here we go. That's how you do a Mark Jewler's Uncanny X-Men number 266. Hopefully you enjoyed the video here. Give the channel a thumbs up. Click that subscribe button down below. Share with a friend. Leave me a comment. And of course, keep on collecting what you enjoy, which in this case is a pretty sweet first appearance. Yeah, I said it. First appearance.